Hey everybody, this is DayTraderRockStar. It is a Friday, and I am just turning on the recorder here. It's almost midday. It is midday. Was it midday? What time is it? 11:52. And market here actually pushing back up off the lows. Now, I try to do these videos every Friday. First part of the video probably going to be just a little market radar, maybe do some trading. Second part of the video will be the HPS watch list going into next week where we identify setups. All right, but it looks like an interesting day, and it's a Friday. You know, I tend to shy away too much on the futures on Friday, but we like to trade the tradeometer, so I want to do an update on that today. We just had a tradeometer set up right here. Now we've only had two today. We had one right here, and this is our second one we just had right now. Tradeometer will be in blue, so if you look at the charts when you're watching the show, you'll see me put them in on blue. Now that is that's pretty nice. And we'll see. I mean, the market actually showing a little strength. Here's the picture of the tradeometer right now. And remember, we pay attention to this. Here's the YM. Here's the ES. You don't see, you can't even go back. You have to go back all the way back. Back. There it is. Right after 9:30. So there's our first alert. Now we just had our second alert right here. I just took the trade fast on this. And I wanted to, just show you some a new technique I'm going to be trying out next week. You can see that, and I always talk about we track all three indexes here, the ES, the NQ, and the YM, which is the Dow, NASDAQ, and the S&P. And we also have the crude, gold, and the euro. But we mainly trade on the ES or NASDAQ or the YM. And it's important, lots of times you'll get news on, news on a weighted component of one of these indexes might throw it out of sync. And sometimes it's very easy to see that. You'll see that a couple of the charts will be right on, and maybe another chart won't be that right on. That means that either it's bucking a trend or there's something going on a little bit different. But once you start to see something just keying on it, you want to stick to the one that's really zoned in, that's working great. Right now, that's the YM and the ES. The NQ looks a little more. I'm going to say a little bit more bullish. Because you're seeing some of those sell signals, even though they just went sideways and down, they didn't really pull back, and that ends up being a very bullish signal if you get a sell signal and you just go sideways. And then we had another one, and we kind of went through that. This one worked out fine. This one actually worked out fine too. It drifted. Normally you want to see a nice reaction from these setups, and even this one right now, it's just oversold, and it's pulled back a little. Just like I said, you could. I'll show you the setups I want to do here. So right when we get the alert, lots of times I'm on the show and I'm like, all right, we got the alert. Let me identify this for you. Let me show you what's happening. And then we go back. By the time I'm looking at taking the trade's already reacted off the signal. So what I'm going to try to do next week is have a different bracket order in here, and it's going to be my $20 strategy trader, and it's basically just grabbing 2 ticks off the ES right when you get that first alert. Most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, you're very close to the bottom. Sometimes you move a little lower, might even we'll adjust the stop. We actually plan that stop out depending on where we are on the pattern. But I'll show you the next one that sets up. I'll do that, and I'll walk you through it. So right now, the market here, again, even though we had that sell signal, we were kind of flagging out here. And I want to just take a fast look at the S&P. Now, the S&P here is just getting a little extended. And when I say extended, I usually talk about those stochastics. Right now, I would consider this a little bullish right now because we're not seeing a big reaction off the sell signal, and we're extended on that 5-minute time frame. So again, I'm not doing a show here, so I'm not going to just give you dead air. Wait until this sets up. What I really want to do is just wait for the next setup and then take that trade live if we do decide that we have that next setup. One thing I want to talk about, and again, this is going to be, this will play into the HPS watch list also, that the next 3 weeks, next 2.5 weeks before this election, is going to be choppy. I expected more of a pullback into the election, and it hasn't happened yet. And that's one of the hardest things to predict, to put your opinion on the market. You never do that. That's why I try to develop a strict criteria for entries and exits, and not have my emotion really affect my trade. But you can't help but have an opinion on how things are going to play out, and you have to listen to what's going on these days. It's very uncertain, and the market tends not to like that type of uncertainty, and it tends to pull back into it. Now, it hasn't yet. Is it because everyone's expecting it? And that could be, an issue that we have to deal with, or it just hasn't happened yet, or we'll wait until after the election to make the big move in here. But, right now we are kind of choppy. There's news out there every day that can move this market.
Signal.
And, even though they push the interest rate talk to a second story in the background there, it's still overhanging this market. But I would consider that priced in. At this point, there's, talk about an interest rate hike before the end of the year. And, they talked about it so much that if it happened, I don't know if it would be even a big shock and if the market would really react off of that. So going into next week, very cautious. I almost want to, continue to buy some puts for right after the election. Some SPY puts, and but again, it seems like an obvious trade, and when the obvious becomes, in the market, that the market takes care of that very easily. Goes the opposite way. So we're just being more cautious over the next couple weeks, and that's what you're going to see reflected in the HPS watch list. Not many I love a couple good setups. We'll discuss those. And the other thing is, and I wasn't on the air yesterday, Paul said that the tradeometers killed it again yesterday, and that seems to be just the way we want to kind of focus on making our money. We can make money from here to here and here to here, not worrying about the big picture and saying, oh, one day you're up, one day you're down. And I know it's not for everyone, but this is a good opportunity. And you don't have to do the ES. You could do the NQ, the YM. You could do the SPY. You could do options on the SPY. You could do the ETFs like the SPXU, the SSO, any of the ProShare leveraged ETFs that track the S&P or any of the other indexes. So you could trade those like stocks, and you could scalp them off of these signals. But, these signals are 1 minute time frame signals that gives you that great scalp. We're not looking to hold any position, even though some of the positions we get are the best positions in the day, but we have to be careful. We have to really decide what time frame you're going to be trading and then stick to that plan. So you can trade the 1 minute or the 5 minute or the 60 minute. Right now, most of these alerts are based off the 1 minute, but every 5 minute has to start with a 1 minute. So lots of times they're best, just to kind of scale through that. And if you're not familiar with some of the terminology, just make your way over to Day Trading Radio. And there's plenty of videos on YouTube. There's a lot of videos and stuff to talk about the methodology. So that's where we stand right now. And right now I'm standing on the sidelines waiting. And I'll be right back with you. All right, now we fast forward a few more minutes. You actually can see that sell signal really worked out pretty good considering the move. It's a nice little flag. It actually has a bullish feeling to it, but I'd rather use the indicators to kind of prove that. We can see that slow and medium stochastics are embedded here, and we have this fast rotation. So that typically tells us that the bigger trend is stronger. A small pullback here should bounce when we get down to that 20 level. Now, That's a playbook. That's what we call a playbook play in our forum. If you go to the DTR playbook play. Anything else to add to this? Again, that 5-minute cash is extended here, but there is a slight, bullishness to this flag. Not a steep crossover. Something here just showing a little better strength. Kind of, feeling out this flag. I feel that short-term flag setup here is a little stronger. And, this was a 1-minute time frame. And if you took this 1-minute time frame, you had that nice trade. And if you took this for that new, if you put that on your your $20, that was not an issue at all at this point to get your 2 ticks on this. And then, but the important thing is to understand that once you get that rotation, which was right down here in that 32 and change area, we can start to see maybe it's starting to turn back up. If this starts popping back up, first of all, confirms that setting. Another good reason to continue to look at those playbook plays. And, why deal with that hassle? When you have an easy $20 bill that you just found, why would you just deal with it? I know, you might have a bigger time frame. And you say overall this 5 minutes is going to break down. The 60 is rolling over. This is eventually going to roll over. It's it's whatever time frame you're trading. Apply those rules and just let it go. There's no right and wrong. It depends on how you're trading it. For this, when I show you this, I show you on I show you a time frame like a building block of great setups, but you could apply that same technique across the board on different time frames. And again, nothing's set in stone. The market does have news, and and there is bigger things at play here we might not see. And sometimes, like you said, the bigger picture, like I was kind of negative going into today with the 60-minute time frame. I am feeling, with the 60, this is our 60-minute, we kind of crossed back over. But we haven't done much, and not doing much is, just hard. Feel more cautious. Even one of my favorites at this point now is the fast null. It's still looked at that divergence on the weekly. That's what I'm liking this. And it hasn't proven itself yet, but it sure does look like it wants to have that divergence on the weekly. And we're taking this on the weekly. We'll talk more about that in the next video. But a lot of things are just waiting here. We're waiting and waiting. And imagine, you take that trade and but you know what? It should be all automated, If it doesn't work out, you should see that it's not working out and you're out. If you have the setup, especially the tradeometer setups, for me, my methodology is wait for Tom to set up. If you have a Rambot Tom, I think you have a really, that pushes the limits to a fantastic super signal. And 950 was a Rambot. I didn't remember to tell you this also. Right here at 950 was the 5-minute buy divergence. So that's what we call a super signal. If we have we have a Rambot 5-minute or 3-minute signal divergence right next to or on top of an ES. Now, trying to manage how we define that super signal, how close does it have to be? When we look at an area, and you come down there, we really do a good job of pinpointing entries and exits. So this is a little bit tougher to determine. How close should you be to have those 2 alerts to be called a super signal. I like that. Maybe a 10-minute time span inside that 10-minute circle. Normally it's going to come after 5 minutes, so it's going to be between 5 and 10 minutes. 5, 6, 7, 8-minute time frame. After the first alert, you get the 5-minute divergence. You normally get that. You'll get that second. And the same thing, if you get a 5-minute sell signal here, you'll get that after the tradeometer setup. So it's a great combination. Another thing I was thinking, a lot of craziness going on in the world. See the crazy comments coming out of the Philippines lately? They're going to kick our military out of there. I mean, my dad fought over in the Philippines in World War II, and they've had a base there since like 1947. And this is, going on 2017, and this guy's coming in, kicking everyone out and stuff, and making, making new deals with China, and China's now going to be there, going to be their ally and stuff. It's just the world is really changing fast. How things are going, what's going on with Syria and Ukraine and Russia and everything. You name it. We're not even really paying attention to North Korea, and that's a live wire. So we have to be ready. I think there's big money to be made in the markets. It's just that you have to have patience, and you can't blow out before that opportunity comes. And lots of times choppy areas like this, for a big election stuff, we're not for sure what's going on, is something else. Look at this. So we got that. He's slowly trying to hold this flag, but it seems like it's molasses right now. Now, technically, that HPS playbook play worked out. Even though you didn't get a big move, you might be saying, I want to at least get something. When you get that rotation back up and you're dealing with a 1 minute time frame, you're going to run into problems. And a flag doesn't mean you have a nice continuation. And we still can get a little further continuation. But again, trade your time frame. You see this 9-3, even the 14-3 is rotated back up, tagged at 80 line. We pull back down a half a tick. And, again, this is a micro type of scalping technique, but it works well. And, there's nothing else out there that's proven itself like this. Timing is everything, though. Of course, looking back at it, saying, I didn't get in at 32 and get out at 33. Yeah, maybe you didn't even get in at 32. Maybe you got at 32.50 and it went up to 33 and you couldn't get out 30 and you didn't want to take a quarter on that. Majority of the time, you're going to be in the green on these trades. It's a matter of, saying, all right, we got that rotation. It didn't give me as much as I wanted. I need to hold. No, it gave you as much as it's going to give you, and you need to get out. Well, while I'm working on some other things, I just looked over there, and I didn't even realize that we had another tradeometer set up. So our first one there, we went sideways. We had a little pop. We didn't take out the highs. Still looking, it's very easy to see right here how great that setup is. This was our first tradeometer sell signal right here. It just pulled back. We had a little pop here. And because this was kind of that bullish flag, we expected a little pop. And we did get that rotation up, and then it got overbought. And then from that point on, we had another alert. Right here, right on that little spike higher. We had another sell signal showing that's how fast that rotated back up. It put another sell signal in, and right down we went. So really the market here, or the tradeometer, 3 for 3 so far. And we'll just keep an eye on that. We're starting to break down now a little off of this rising channel. I've been trying to tweet out a lot of stuff today. So if you're on Twitter, you could follow that. And it's at DayTradingRadio. At DayTradingRadio is the Twitter name right there. I also post that in our chat room and on our trade alert box. So it's better actually to be in the trade alert box. And you can see a nice rotation back here, and we only had one buy signal. It's going to be interesting how this day plays out. Very, very interesting. I see that switcher just covered from a Tom sell signal. He did a good job. Worked out fine for him. Nice job, switcher. I got to post that in the room. All right, you just had a ram bump. Let's see. No, we didn't have anything here, but I do see like a divergence here. A little divergence playing out. Might get that signal right off the 200 period moving average into a channel. You can see it here, really on the 14.3. A little. It did tag that 20 line. We love it when it holds above that 20 line, but there is a slight divergence here and a nice downward channel off of that recent sell signal up here. We've been about and a little reversal, so you do got a little bounce there. I just want to again touch base with you because we're just hanging here on a Friday. I'm doing some research. I got some new HPS setups I'm going to do in the second half of this video for the members, and right now just again pointing out some ongoing setups on the ES right here. So what we do when we see that divergence here, we want to go back and take a look at the SPX 5-minute time frame again, and you can see we kind of pulled back here, didn't get oversold. This was our 5-minute bias to the downside, and that worked out great. Now you have this turn back up, but it's kind of sideways. I'd say it's a no trade zone. You know, it's not, doesn't feel right. Other than the signals have been right on. It you know, you have a divergence, which is a push back up. There is an you know, today, if you haven't heard in the news, there is this internet attack going on. They're attacking the DYN DNS, and Paul's doing the show today, and he's really, you know, he's into this. This is what he does. He's our web guy and our, you know, he manages my servers and stuff. So he's an expert on security, and we're kind of doing a little security show today, talking about the, you know, what's taking place and how far could this what can happen with this. No, we don't know what's going to happen from it. You know, the worst case scenario is they take, you know, worst case scenario, they say there's a major attack on the internet and it bogs down and they take down, you know, major sites and maybe even worse. And, you know, and then the other side of the story is just, you know, this is, you know, business as usual. You're going to have hiccups in the internet, and they're going to correct it, and they're going to fix the holes, and, you know, market's going to react. But it's not reacting. You know what? The Nasdaq's actually up 8 points at this point. S&P's down 3. Dow's down 53, and you know, I feel the market here is going to be sideways going into the election. Can't say more about that, that we already are talking about, but I do have a couple of interesting setups there, and well, I'll talk about those in a bit. All right, you can just see this just came. A second attack on the internet just happened. You see some of the talks here. It was supposed to be a temporary internet outage after the attack of unknown origin. The DNS server provider DYN took down much of the internet in the Northeast. Appears to have returned moments ago, and this is right here, just probably about 12 o'clock. We had another attack, and I could see it too. I could see it on my Twitter. I couldn't get things out. Everything came down to a crawl. Some things are not connecting properly. The DOS attack may also affect managed DNS advanced services. DYN says that the DDoS attack may cause possible delays in monitoring. And again, you know, this is supposed to be the internet outage map. Look at that. That's a big outage. It's like almost a nuclear blast war, but it's all internet war. It's the new warfare. Early this morning, millions of panicked Americans couldn't get on their Snapchats or their Facebooks. And I realize they may have to be productive when they're so. I like this. Millions of panicked Americans realize they may have to be productive when suddenly their favorite social media websites and news outlets weren't available for up to an hour. As it turns out, the culprit was an enormous cyber attack which disrupted traffic to hundreds of websites, including Twitter, Spotify, Reddit, eBay, and New York Times. I like that, though. Imagine all of a sudden, you know, GDP went up because of the internet attack. They couldn't figure out why, but then they tracked it down, and it was like, oh. And the DDoS here is not DDoS, but denial of service attack. So I was talking about that before. I was kind of not labeling it the correct way. The DDoS attack, direct denial of service attack. As you see, we've pretty much gone flatline since that last alert. We did have a little turn back up, but as you can see, we're not really popping here. And this brings us into another kind of an HPS setup, and it's called a price stochastic divergence, where normally you will have the directional side, directional move in the price, and everything will be in sync. You'll have the stochastics rotating back up. This will move down. And again, this is something you'll hear every day when we do identify it. In this case, you had this kind of a positive divergence. When you move to go sideways, you're not moving down. You're starting to see that divergence, and that's usually bullish. Now, if you're moving up and you're moving sideways, that's the same situation. You're not reacting with the pressure to the market. Here we did a little, but here we're not. So we're just watching this. And again, this is Friday, and I'm doing some research here, and there's not much going on. We've had only two alerts on the tradeometer today. Both three alerts. All of them worked out great. Everything else though, it's not much going on. We had a nice. We actually had a nice buy signal on the Nasdaq. I didn't realize that. Another thing here, because my Nasdaq's on another screen and it's behind me. So here is our last alert. So you can see the ES alert was nice. Even on that little pop here, we didn't take out the highs, but we got that other alert saying, all right. And then we've drifted. And this has been effectively the top, of that little move. Now, again, it's past its prime. We're not worried about that trade anymore. And it doesn't continue to be a sell until you get a green. Just remember, it's not green to red, red to green, green to red. Here we had a nice buy signal in NQ right at the bottom. Look at that pullback. And then you could actually see that the YM, and this makes sense too, because we noticed that the tradeometer on the top, that the Nasdaq is actually showing, is in the green. It's actually showing relative strength. We're actually leading the markets here, so it makes a lot of sense that that's the strongest market. We're going to get our first buy signal. That should probably be a very good buy signal, and it was. And different ways to read this. So we're just waiting here for that. I was waiting for another ES setup here, and I'm going to actually turn up the volume here so we don't miss this next one. That's what we could do. Now I can put the volume on. But this is what we're starting to see here. Upward movement, downward movement, chop, chop. But as long as you have that short-term trend in your favor. Amazon up 7 and change, even though they're one of the stocks that have been talked about being part of the denial of service attacks. It is pushing higher here. And remember, that divergence, that negative divergence we're seeing, we wanted to get overbought. There is still a little space here. I mean, we could get a little pop, but the tell is there that the strength is not there, or at least there's nothing here really for the market to react to, and it could actually just get to be a very, very dull second half of the day. But I would watch this rotation, and I would say, watch this negative divergence and see if it actually does rotate back down. And again, waiting for maybe a signal on the tradeometer to kind of time that a little better. Well, there you have it. Well, you have the breakdown out of this. This is kind of a bearish setup, and it's really a great signal, another HPS setup. We'll take one more look at that on the S&P. I'm just doing some research in the back here. We got no stocks, but here's your divergence setup. Sideways consolidation, aggressively rising stochastic. Close. It doesn't mean we have to get up to that 80, but the majority of the time, as you get close to that level, even when you tag it, you're going to roll over. And because you didn't get that, that move up, the direction with least resistance is going to be down, and you just get that momentum shift, and then boom, you drop off more aggressively. And again, just a short-term time frame. This is based off that 5-minute time frame. And if it all starts here with that 1-minute rotation. Got down, bounced a little, and then failed. But the bigger time frame was that rollover, and we did roll over. Now we're extended on the 5. We don't want to look more into it. I think that your 5-minute signal there is the best signal. And you probably got, if you took a trade off of that signal, you got what you wanted to get. in this game that we play here every single day. It doesn't mean that that's the beginning of something bigger. It's just identifying. It's really just identifying the best trading opportunities in the day, taking advantage of those, and waiting for the next one to set up. Well, we there's what looks like another internet attack out there, and I could actually see that having a little issue with the site now. So I'm trying to get in touch with Paul. I told Paul, I said I just saw this. We just had a Rambot 3-minute buy signal right here, and it popped. I didn't see it go into the box, so it looks like there is a little issue here with the sockets and the site. So, oh well. But I am monitoring on my side, and I did see that. But it looks like the internet attacks are continuing to pick up here. But I'm still getting my quotes, still able to trade, still be able to do this video, but there is a lot of sites that are getting affected. The tradometer is still working effectively. All right, just noticed we had it, and again, I'm working on doing the show on TuneIn here. We have the internet outages today, but you could always listen to the show on TuneIn Radio also, and I want to show you that. But we just had a tradometer alert here again, and I didn't grab the top like my plan was, but I just grabbed it fast, you know, just because it's just been so on target today, and I didn't care. I just went for it. I want to see how it works out. But the object here is only put in a 2-tick profit zone, something very fast, and we'll see. The market is actually showing strength here. We're almost going positive on the S&P. Something very, market's actually showing good strength. But let's see what happened. Now, let me show you how to get to the TuneIn Radio here. So I went over to TuneIn Radio, kind of logged it, I don't even think you have to log in. You just have to go to the site, TuneIn, and do a search. I put in Day Trading Radio. And right there on the top here, you'll click on it, or you can push play. Then you go here. This is where the station is, right here. And it comes up with a little box. It's pretty cool.
He did 75 at the high.
So then he modifies himself, and he says, you know what, I got to explain everything
so you
to
can
people.
Hear that.
That's okay. They want to see
pretty
some
cool,
evidence
huh?
of this. So then you feel like you have to explain things
so
to people.
if you're having trouble connecting, you can actually always connect through TuneIn Radio, TuneIn Live. You can actually stream this in your car and stuff.
They just want
if
you
you have
to believe
that
them.
option.
They just want you to
just
go
do it
their
on your
way,
phone.
believe them, do what they say, and they don't want to tell you why they say that.
So,
well, they could very well be just 100% BS.
Now, the problem with the tune-in, there's no problem with it. You hear the music on the inside, on the outside, behind it. You don't get to control that unless you're on the site. And if you're a member of the site, you have all the volume controls for all the channels. On the tune-in, we're trying to get the signal out, but we're not. It's kind of all melted together, so you will hear music slightly in the background. You'll hear the news, and you'll just have to deal with that.
Or why this short up here 34 looks good instead of it just being a magical area, explain it, and I think it gives more credit. It gives the person that you're listening to more credibility.
Concordia CXRX.
So some people try to do that even though they know what they're doing. They have nothing to prove to anyone, but they still go that way.
All right, so I'm going to pause that, but that's pretty good. It's a really nice feature there. I'm actually going to cut that out a little. Give myself a nice little cut on this. All right, so I just wanted to tweet that out. And so I am, just currently on this, but it does look strong. We'll let it play out. Let's stop right above that candle here on that trigger. And again, I didn't take that. I didn't time that alert perfectly. Got in on the pullback here a little, so there might be just an issue on that, but we're gonna let it play out. All right, let's take a look at the cash chart one more time, because I might actually take this off because it is a Friday and it is well, we're extended on the 5. We know we can push a little bit higher. 60-minute chart is very choppy. 1 minute time frame here, choppy. Daily actually started turning back up over the last couple days, and that's where we are right now. It almost feels like we could actually make a run to the highs. It's just the strength is in it today. Even everything that's happening, all the things that seem to be weighing on the markets, yet the market's not selling off. So it is actually showing some strength here. I think I'm going to clear this off right now. And
Position closed.
even though it is, well, if it pulls back, it pulls back. But I'm going to continue on the research. But we'll leave that alert there. We'll see what happens. I'm going to just dig back into some of the charts, and we'll come back here, revisit that. Well, that worked out fine. I just didn't have the, thinking too much on that. But again, another pretty decent setup there. It would have hit our target, and then it just pulled back here a little. So, hey, that happens. Take a look at let's see here. Take a look at the NQ, and the NQ that was a good key also. Cause look at that NQ. I mean, this is really incredible. This is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just killing it. YM, NQ, ES here all gave us perfect overbought. I mean, what? How many times are you going to see those type of alerts identified for you? Perfect, pinpoint. There will be times when the market is trending and there's news out there and things will get run over. But when there's not, and we're actually on a Friday like this, you could pretty much figure out where you should be and when you should be there. The issues today with the internet kind of funky. A lot of things are down, so we'll keep it a little bit more cautious today. I am getting some good research done, though. I have a lot of good setups for next week. But again, the cautious comments and just the the potential of any type of news coming out in the next couple of weeks that it might affect this election. I didn't even go into the recent debate and stuff. I'm going to probably cut this video short and get it out early, and then start working on the other one. But you know, there was that debate, and there was the issue about Donald Trump saying he would not accept. There was a possibility he would not accept the results of the election, and there was an uproar. You know, it's, you know, kind of planting the seeds of, you know, just planting some bad seeds out there in the political universe on how things run in the country now. You know, the last time that the election was disputed was the Gore-Bush. And that went all the way to the Supreme Court. And I'm actually going to take a look, because I remember trading during that. And when we did not have an election, a finalized election, that affected the market. Now let me see if I can dig out those charts. But that's going to be an issue too, you know. So we got to look back at that. If the market feels like, oh, we don't have a leader, it's disputed, no one knows what's going on, the market, really got affected by that when that happened. So let me pull out the charts on that one, and give me just a second, all right? Okay, so market here showing some really good strength. And yes, the S&P here going positive. I actually have this over on the tradeometer. I'm waiting for the next alert here. We just had an alert on the NQs. You can see they've been just on fire. The last three alerts here. But I'm watching here. See if we get an official alert here. And you can see a nice little pop here. Nice little pop. This last little sell signal was good. You know, pulled back until we got that oversold level. You know, the criteria of the exit. If you also notice here, which I didn't point out because we were working on the some of the internet outage stuff here, we have another great example of it, what we call playbook play, triple stochastic flag setup. Slow, medium, embedded, fast rotation, flag, boom. So another great setup. We've identified that twice today. We've identified 4 of the trades. I mean, this is a very organized day, even though price, you know, this is actually moving a little higher. And we're waiting for that alert to come out. I got the new strategy set up on my DOM here. It's called the $20 bill strategy. And trying different ones, especially in a market like this. The trend is up. It's hard to go against it. I mean, but the sell signals are the ones you're probably going to get. The quick little pullback and buy signals are probably going to be the best, but you're going to get more of the sell signals as this market here continues to show kind of this upward strength since 9:30. We've been just kind of dragging higher. So waiting for that next one here. All right, because we don't, because we have some of the alerts are down because of the attacks on the internet today, we did have a sell signal right here, 5-minute Rambot, which means it's a big divergence signal. Very nice one. We'll make that very thick yellow, representing that. No tradeometer on that, but a decent enough Rambot signal. 5-minute. Let's take a look at that cash chart, and then we're going to send this video off. All right, all you're seeing maybe, yeah, you're barely seeing it. It's more of a mathematical than the visual one. We have a little candle here to the downside. The 60 here, the 1 minute here, kind of turning over fast. And the hourly, well, that's the 15. Here's the hourly turning back up.
Okay, Rockwell Automotive during Steeple saying that the deal is unlikely.
And before we send this out here, I'm just taking a look at the current internet, what's it called, the norsecorp.com map, and it kind of shows you the continuing attacks, where they come from, where they're going. It's interesting. I'm seeing, and again, I don't follow this too often. I probably don't know half of what some other people do on security of things, but I am seeing a lot of I don't know, inter-United States attacks. I know Paul was talking about computers that launch against the, if all these people have worms and Trojans on, and then they get to all of a sudden turn on and attack and try to bring down the internet. You can see up here, it looks like Seattle, upper left here. up in Washington, and then shooting over here, and it looks like it's not in New York City, but it's right on it's almost like the Niagara Falls area, Great Lakes area. And then, of course, a lot of stuff going on here. And I think you can even zoom in on this and kind of... But you can see, like, everyone just zooming in on this area over here in the Northeast. And down here, it actually shows you can actually follow along and see what these represent. I have to study into it a little bit more. The lower portion of it, you can see the live attacks going on, where the IP of the attacker, where it's coming from, if it's unknown. Here it's over here, attack origins, United States, China, Netherlands, you know. Unknown type. Boom. You see that? It's like watching it's crazy watching this. And that's interesting, all right? That's norsecorp.com. You can watch this all day, learn more about it. I have to dig into it, learn about it, follow it, see what's going on. But I'll turn that off for now. Going back here to the markets. And you can see that last alert. That was the last Rambot 5-minute divergence, but no other signals. And again, you can feel the molasses here just kind of dragging here. Coming up on 3 o'clock, I'm going to send this out close enough to almost an hour long of just talk. And I got to get the other videos going and stuff. Twitter starting to move. Gilead moving back up. Market's actually showing some strength here. S&P's up positive but flat, up 0.1. That's and Nasdaq's up 13. Dow's down 7. But yeah, something's going on. Have a good day, and again, join us at DayTraderRadio.com. Next week we'll have a really good week for you. And be safe out there. We don't know what kind of news is coming out. There's a lot of things going on, so we'll see you in the markets.